you this. I want to give you this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just say this right quick. Uh, know what your car is worth before you walk in the dealership. Know what you can get for it, even if you have to take it somewhere else. Even if you got to take it to a CarMax and let them evaluate it and see how much money they'll give you for the vehicle. Know what it's worth. Get online. Go to Google. Find out how much your car is going for. Go to Kelly Blue Book. So that's kbb.com. Go to Kelly Blue Book and find out how much your car is worth. You will be in a better position to negotiate when you know what your car is worth instead of letting them tell you what your car is worth. All right. So make sure you do that. And I wanted to give you guys another scenario as well. This one I have to give you. I'm going to skip some of the other stuff because we're at the end of the show. But I want to tell you how this works when you go to the dealership and why I suggested to this young lady to go to the bank. So this is why I told her to go to the bank instead of dealing with her dealership. And this is why. Some of you guys, I'm going to venture to say 95% of everybody that's listening to me does not know this. When you go to the dealership, and there's nothing wrong with just walking in the dealership and letting them run your credit 100 times or whatever it is so you can get finance. There's nothing wrong with that as long as they do it within a particular time frame, which is about 14 days. All those inquiries, they won't hurt you as much at all. You'll just get dinged for one inquiry. So here's the thing. When you go in the dealership and you get approved, first of all, you might be sitting there crossing your fingers hoping you get approved. The salesman comes back. I think I named him Brian in the last scenario. So Brian comes back and says, hey, congratulations, you got approved. Let's sign this paperwork. He said, and you start signing your paperwork, and then you say, okay, so what's my payment? And they tell you what your payment is. You're like, oh, okay, I can deal with that. Then you say, okay, well, what's my interest rate? So they come back and they tell you that your interest rate is 5%. It's like, okay, that's not bad at all. I do 5%. I wasn't even sure I was going to be approved. So you go to signing your paperwork. Now, here's what you don't know. When Brian was back there and they were looking at the numbers and sending your information off to the banks, one of those banks came back and said, yes, we will finance this person, and we'll finance this person at 4%. So wait a minute. You don't know this. You don't know this information. They said they would finance you at 4%. Brian, your salesperson, came back and told you that you're okay and you're at 5%. That is absolutely perfectly lawful for dealerships to do so. Even though your bank or the bank that they went through said that they would give it to you for 4%, the dealership can add additional percentage points to it. I'm sure there's a limit. I don't know what it is. I hope there's a limit. I don't know what it is, but they can add that additional percent. And you go sign your paper and you're happy as a lark and you drive off with your 5% auto loan when you could have got it at 4%. Now, why does this happen? And Congress even tried to eliminate this, and it was denied a few years ago. They tried to eliminate the upsell, if you will, from the dealership of that additional percentage point or how much ever it is. So what happens to that additional percentage? The dealership gets that additional percentage. So you could have got it for 4%, but the dealership tacked on that 1%. You did not balk at it or say anything about it because you didn't know, and so they get that additional percentage point. Yet another way, they make additional money. So they made money off the car, they made money off of your trade-in, and then they're also making money off of the financing, which is a very good reason for you to walk in your bank or pick up the phone, look at the back of your debit card, call that number and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't even necessarily want you to pull my credit right now. I know my credit score is around whatever that number is, 720 or whatever. Can you give me an idea what my interest rate would be? Then you have, you have additional knowledge. If you went online before about your trade-in, you have that additional knowledge because you know what your car is worth. But then you also have knowledge about your interest rate as well. So when they come back and say, hey, you're approved for 5%, what you're supposed to do is say, well, hey, I already contacted my bank, and my bank told me they can do me at 3.5. Salesman going to go back to the finance guy and says, hey, this guy says he's approved at his bank for 3.5 and we're telling them 5%. Guarantee you they'll come back and they won't necessarily match it, but they'll come back and say, okay, we can do 4%. We can do 4% then. And so then You get that car then that day if you decide to, or if you decide I don't want to deal with you guys, I'll go ahead and go to my bank. But maybe you decide I'll go ahead and take this. It's only a 0.5% point more. So be aware of all of those things. So when you're negotiating for your vehicle, it's not just about the cost of the car, if they're going to throw in free car washes and 5 oil changes and all of those things, and how much your trade-in is going to be. It's also about your financing. And the better your credit, then the better you're going to do when it comes to your financing as well. So I hope that was clear to you guys. I hope you learned something today. And thank you guys again for coming in and listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. Now, I told you I was going to give you an offer that you can't refuse. So here's your credit score kiss for today. I want you to pick an issue. Pick an issue that you would like to be addressed on your credit report and email me that issue. I will give you a free consultation on that issue and that issue alone if you email it to me. 800 creditscoreman@gmail.com. Email me by Thursday, July the 20th, and I will absolutely give you a free consultation on that particular issue on your credit report. That's the credit score kiss for you today. And I want to say to you guys again, thank you so very much for coming in and listening. I want you to share this show. You can get the show, of course, on iTunes. You can go ahead and get my own app in your app store. I'm an iPhone user. I'm hearing there's a slight issue with the Android users, but it's going to be cleared up within the next 72 hours or so. So if you can't hear the show there, you'll get it sooner or later, all right? So look, share this show. And before I get out of here, you know how I got to do it. Kobe, Camille, Cameron, and Carter, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm out.